In this video, we're looking at communication within a new marriage, and I'll share some tips on how to communicate effectively with your spouse. Hey, Kenya here, and welcome to Forever Newlywed. Do you know what the definition of communication is? Webster defines it as a process by which information is exchanged between individuals through a common system of symbols, signs, and behavior. So, that means communication can be verbal, nonverbal, or written. And you'd think that with so many avenues in which we can communicate, that we would be more consistent. You would think that because we have to communicate so often, that we'd be more effective. But the fact is, many of us are not the best communicators. And if we are decent at it, we struggle to adapt to the communication styles of others. Within a marriage, our strengths and weaknesses in the area of communication come out in full display. There is nowhere to hide if you are struggling to communicate. In a marriage, ideas, beliefs, values, upbringings, philosophies, and habits are merging, and it does create conflict. Yeah, conflict. And what usually happens is we don't want to put in the work it takes to learn our spouse's way of communicating, adjust to it, and work at coming to a common agreement. Communication takes work, so we're going to look at some words of wisdom to try and better understand how to communicate effectively in a new marriage and illustrate how to put this wisdom into action. Here we go. First nugget of wisdom. Hebrews 13:16 says, "But to do good and to communicate forget not, for with such sacrifice God is well pleased." Consider communication as a good thing. It's not a plague. We run from communication and conflict because we're afraid of the response that our spouse will give. Instead, we should know that the more we communicate, the more we learn the style that best works for ourselves and our spouse. Communication is satisfying when done properly. For real though, I like communication until it's not going the way I want it to go. And if I don't catch myself, I will attempt to manipulate with my communication or with a lack of communication. But when I effectively communicate, the result is satisfying because both sides were heard and understood. Do not use it as a weapon. The closer people are to us, the easier it is to affect them through words. You might not realize you're a mean devil until after you get into a shared space. And if you don't like being backed into a corner through communication, you may say hurtful things as a defense mechanism. Remember, communication is happening all at once. Verbal, nonverbal, and written. So don't forget to tailor it to your spouse. Your spouse may withdraw in conflict while you want to hit things head on. You may roll your eyes a lot, and that may make your husband feel disrespected. Everything you do is saying something. Communication is a sacrifice. Be willing to make it. Don't be the kind that's looking for your spouse to sacrifice for you, but you don't want to sacrifice for your spouse. Put in the effort daily. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. Nugget number 2. Proverbs 18:13 says, "He that answereth a matter before he heareth it, it is folly and shame unto him." Listen intently. Listening is truly a skill that we need to practice. Everybody wants to be heard, but nobody wants to hear. Hear, heed, and hearken to what your spouse is saying. It's a sign of respect. Listening is an action word, so start doing it and sharpening it. On the flip side, you'll end up feeling foolish if you jump the gun and always cutting off your spouse before you hear the whole matter. Come on, ladies, you don't like being cut off, so don't cut off your spouse. Nugget number 3. James 1:19 says, "Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath." Get into a listening posture quickly. The same way you want to be heard, so does your husband. Don't rush listening. Slow down and think before you speak. Yes, take a beat. Process whatever you're going to say, and then execute your thoughts with the best outcome in mind. Do not be quick to get angry. It is 100% okay to be angry. Just don't always look for a reason to be angry. Slow up. Maybe anger isn't even called for in this situation. That was intense, newlies, but the more we address communication, the more we can actively work on being effective. None of us have arrived, so let's keep working at bettering our communication every day. You know I love reading your comments and emails, so tell me ways that you feel strong in your communication. And if you're really bold, tell me the areas where you feel weak in your communication. Thank you for joining me. Click the notification bell so you don't miss any weekly videos. And also subscribe, like, and share. Until next week, stay safe and God bless.